Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. It's good to see you again. Welcome back to another episode of Big Four of X genre debut albums ranked. So, it's been a bit of a while since I did one of these because I've just been focusing on, I've been busting out a lot of Iron Maiden content lately because it's fun and I don't have to do too much research about it. I can just think, oh yeah, this is cool, and then get it out, without too much time on my hands. As you can see from my little setup, it's changed, having a little boy takes up a lot of time, but hey, you're hearing excuses, not solutions. Today, we are going to do another little debut ranking, and today we're doing the Big Four of death metal. Now, how I normally find out what the Big Four are, obviously, I search them, right? And I see, I see what comes up. Some genres are very obvious as to what the Big Four of X genre is. Like, I did the nu metal one, that came up pretty quickly. What else have I done? I've done the American Big Four, I've done the Canadian Big Four, I've done the German thrash Big Four, so I'm just slowly making my way through the genres. However, death metal is one of those ones where it's a bit like, oh yeah, we can all agree on maybe like who the big two are, but then it's like, oh, well, who's three and who's four? A lot of people have different opinions. As you can see, I asked the question to the internet being like, hey, who do you reckon is number four for the Big Four? And a lot of you said different stuff. So today I'm going to tackle my pick for the top 10 of, the Big Four of death metal. So, states aside, obviously death metal comes from Florida, but we've got an obvious band that aren't originally from Florida. They located to Florida later, but right now we've got who I've chosen. So we're gonna put up, first of all, the the Metallica spot, I could say. We're gonna tackle Death with their debut album Scream Bloody Gore, and then we're going to tackle the Megadeth one, you could say, which is Morbid Angel's Altars of Madness, and then we're going to do the Slayer one, I could say, the more tanked up, the more aggressive one, which is Cannibal Corpse's Eat 'Em Back to Life, and then the wild card that everyone, no one can agree on, I've gone for Obituary, Slowly We Rot, because a lot of us agree that it's Obituary, so I thought, cool, you can't make everybody happy, so yeah. So we're going to take these four albums, put them up against each other, and we're going to see which one reigns supreme as the king of death metal debut. Let me know down below which one's your favorite. Is it going to be Death? Is it going to be Obituary? Let's get the conversation going. So, enough rambling of the intro. Let's just get straight into the countdown with number 4. So coming in at number 4, coming in at the bottom, I've put Obituary's Slowly We Rot. Let's just put it out there before we get too into it. All these albums are pretty damn good. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you compare like all the debuts to all the band's later career, you could say half of these, like, I know people who love Obituary, but, consider the debut quite a bit of a slow start for a better work. Not to say that it's like a slow album or whatever, but, Obituary is a band where apparently, they get better as they get on. I haven't listened to a lot of Obituary, so I can't exactly comment on that. But however, I have listened to Obituary Slowly We Rot, obviously. And going up against these guys, everyone else, yeah, it was pretty easy for me to put this at the bottom. Not because it's a bad album, but just because everything else that we have to talk about today is pretty much miles ahead of it. This is a very fast and it's a very aggressive death metal album, you could say. It's kind of, obviously all these albums are like real early death metal, so it's not exactly like the guttural that we're familiar with today, but like, it's almost like, I don't want to say grindcore, but like a lot of the stuff is very done. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at some of the, like, for one thing, it's got 12 songs on it, right? And you look at that and you think, oh yeah, 12 songs in 40 odd minutes? How long is this album? Oh, it's 35 minutes, so it's quicker than that. But yeah, like, there's a lot of really, really short songs on here. The longest song is the first song, Internal Bleeding, and that goes for literally 3 minutes and 1 second. Everything else is really, really quick. Godly Beings is 1 minute 55. Oh, so Till Death, sorry, I've just noticed, is 4 minutes nearly. But yeah, there's some really, really quick ones on here, like Immortal Visions is 2.5. Words of Evil is 2 minutes. Suffocation is 2:35. Deadly Intentions is 2:09. So it's a very, very quick album, and that's the only thing that I compare it to grindcore. Aside from the grindcore stuff, The vocals on it are pretty damn awesome. They sound brutal enough, but not so brutal enough that it will scare you off. You know, if you like extreme music, who are trying to get into extreme music, this is kind of a good album to start on because it's not so guttural that you don't know what's going on. The guitar tone on it, if that's anything to go off, is amazing because it's just that really, I don't know, it just sounds real heavy and it's just real like, oh, that's awesome. The solos aren't so guitar wanky like you get with a lot of death metal, so that's kind of awesome too. And the cover on it is just great. So yeah, it's a cool album, and I don't flag it just because it's number 4 doesn't mean it's bad. I would still recommend you go and listen to it. But yeah, compared to what else we're talking about today, it's quite easy that Obituary, Slowly We Rot, goes in at number 4. Number 3 is Cannibal Corpse's debut, Eaten Back to Life. I love Eaten Back to Life. I genuinely do. It's a bit... I remember when I ranked all of Cannibal's albums, and I'd put this one a bit higher than most people do. I think I put this at maybe at like number 6, number 5 or number 6, something like that. Compared to what Cannibal became later in life, you could say this one is very simple, and it's very stripped back, and it's very raw, you could say. But I think because of that is why I might like it more than a lot of other I like it a lot more than their other albums. The cover is just brilliant. I think it's awesome. It's so damn good. It's so damn graphic. And a name like Eaten Back to Life makes no sense. But hey, we let it run. Again, a bit like Slowly We Rot, this is a full stacked album as well with like 14 songs. Let me quick, 3, 6, 9, 12. It's 12, sorry, 14. It's 12 songs, 6 songs each side. There's nothing amazing on here in terms of like song structure or musicianship. Well, I mean, the musicianship is amazing in death metal anyway because of how interlocked everybody is. But like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, you know what I mean. I think you get what I mean. What I'm trying to say. But yeah, this takes a massive step up from Slowly We Rot. Like production wise, it's pretty heavy, but it's also like it's very. Is it timid? I don't think so. But like. The production gets better as Cannibal went on, except for Butchered at Birth. This sounds better than their sophomore album. Butchered at Birth went 10 miles backwards in the production area. But hey, we're not here to talk about Butchered at Birth. My favourite song on here is probably Edible Autopsy because of just how it's much more, I don't want to say catchy, but it's a lot more riffing and it's a lot more bouncy and it's just like, oh, this goes off, you know? But everything else, just like Slowly We Rot, is very go, you know? It's a bit of a violent album in terms of lyrical content, obviously, and that's what you get with Cannibal all the way through. But like, it's very humble and it's very early days, but it's really, really good. Shredded Humans is a great song to start the album. Put Them to Death, Mangled, and Scattered Remains, they're great. Side A is pretty awesome. Skull Full of Maggots from Side B is awesome, and The Undead Will Feast. You know, it's a very zombie-filled album, you could say, going off the cover and the title. But yeah, it's a really, really fun album. And if you're a fan of Cannibal and you haven't dwelled into the debut, I highly recommend you do. So yeah, I've put Cannibal Corpse's Eaten Back to Life at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the band that pretty much defined the genre, and that is Death with their 1987 debut, I'm pretty sure, Scream Bloody Gore. Now, just like Cannibal's album, this album too focuses on a lot of the whole zombie graphic horror movie vibe that we all grow to love with death metal. However, this one is very technical. Obviously, this musicianship, the musicianship on this album really takes a massive step up compared to everything else we've heard. Obviously, Chuck Schuldiner from Death, the main guy behind it all, he was an absolute freak. You know, the stuff that he was doing on this album really was separate from the others, which is weird because this album came first. Do you know what I mean? Compared to the others. This is 87. Eaten Back to Life was 90 and Slowly We Rot was 89. So the fact that the first album that did it all was much more like, you know, melodic and technical is funny. Everyone else kind of dumbed it down. But like, it's a fun album. Side A of Scream Bloody Gore is just golden. Like Infernal Death, that's great. Zombie, Ritual, that one's always fun. Denial of Life, Sacrificial, you know, that one's great. Fun fact, that song was supposed to be Sacrificial, but the record label was like, no, I'm not putting that on it. Mutilation, Regurgitated Guts, always good stuff. Side 2, you flip it and you get Baptized in Blood, Torn to Pieces, Evil Dead. Oh, Evil Dead is honestly fantastic, and the title track as well. Scream, Bloody God. Honestly, Chuck's vocals on here were absolutely crazy. Like, again, because it's a genre-defining album, it doesn't sound like the death metal we know and love, obviously. Chuck's vocals across the whole thing, like across the whole Death catalog, aren't what death metal vocals sound like. You know, he's quite high registered, and it's, you know, it's very screechy, and it's just different. So I think that's awesome. People like Cannibal and Obituary, you know, they took what Chuck did and just, you could say, cranked it up a little bit. But the musicianship off this album is ridiculous. His harmonies and his solos and his riffs, you know, they're all so catchy and they're all so amazing. And it's an iconic album. It's not my favorite Death album. I'll comfortably say that. But still, for a debut, it's pretty amazing. And I think, just for fun, it's one of the coolest vinyls I own. Look at that. Look at that pinwheel splatter thingy-mabob. I've got splatters for this and spiritual healing as well, so that's freaking awesome. But yeah, Chuck was super young when he wrote all the riffs. He did the vocals, the riff, the guitar, and the bass, all at such a young age, something ridiculous like that. But yeah, it's very horror theme driven, you know, with zombies and everything like that. With the song titles as well, you can easily tell that it's very horror influenced. And then they grew to talk about other things. But yeah, it's a fantastic album, and if you're trying to get into death metal, I would highly recommend starting with this one, because obviously it's the original. This is where you have to begin. So yeah, number 2, Scream Bloody Gore from Death. So number 1 is actually so annoying, because number 1 is the album that I don't actually have, and that is Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel. I freaking love this album, and it's probably because it's so expensive in this stupid little country that I don't have it. It's available in my local shop, forgive me, but it's like $80. And I'm just like, bro, how is a 10-track single LP available for $80? Doesn't make sense. So I need to save up for that one. But still, aside from the amazing price, Altars of Madness, Morbid Angel as a whole, I haven't really dwelled into Morbid Angel, like later on stuff. I've listened to this album and I've listened to Covenant, because I've heard people talk that they are, you know, the top divining Morbid Angel albums of one, the whole band, and 2, death metal as a whole. So the fact that I don't have them is ridiculous. But anyway, both Altars and Covenant are amazing, but that's a whole other video. Altars of Madness, the tone of it, I think, is just amazing. It sounds the heaviest out of the lot, and the vocals on it are awesome. Again, not so death metal guttural that you don't know what's going on, but heavy enough to be like, oh yeah, this is extreme metal at this point. This album came out in 1989 as well, so this one came out before Cannibals, and 89, so did Slow Rot, so that's awesome. The album starts with Immortal Rights, which has this reverse intro effect thing going on. And weirdly enough, it reminds me of a Queen song, Ogre Battle, and they do that as well, where the intro starts and it's the track played backwards and then it flips and carries on. And then this massive groove comes in to Altars of Madness, Immortal Rights, and it's just like, oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. The minute I heard that, I was like, that song, Immortal Rights, I was like, this is great. I was very confident already that this was going to be either 1 or 2, because Death is a great album anyway. But literally, the entirety of side 1 is pretty much perfect. You've got Immortal Rights, Suffocation, Visions from the Dark Side, which is just, that's awesome. And then Maze of Torment is just angry and wild. The riffing on this album, I can't stress enough how catchy the riffing is. It's so good, and it's so heavy. It's amazing. I love it so much. Chapel of Ghouls, I think, might be one of my favorites. You know, Immortal Rights is amazing. That's a great song as well. The debut album starting off with something like that is wild. But yeah, Damnation, Blasphemy, and Evil Spells. Evil Spells is a funny song to end the album on, I think. But, I mean, it definitely has its place. But, like, side 2 is not full of filler at all. Side 2 is almost more darker than side A because of the songs. You've got Chapels of Ghouls, which is kind of freaky, Bleed for the Devil, Blasphemy. Blasphemy is a great song. So yeah, me being the black metal fan that I am, I was like, oh, this is good stuff. And so yeah, honestly, it's a fantastic album. And if you're like me and you haven't actually dwelled into like more of Morbid Angel stuff, but you're keen to, definitely go check out Altars of Madness, because it's just insane. Like I said, it's $80 at my shop. Do I save up? Do I dip into the savings account to go and get it? Maybe. Might just have to. But yeah, honestly, number 1, Morbid Angels, Altars of Madness. You cannot go wrong with this album. Awesome as team, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I sit here and get increasingly more passionate about Big 4 death metal debut albums. Like I said at the start, let me know down below what your favorites are. Is it Altars of Madness like myself, or is it Scream Bloody Gore? Is it Obituary? Tell me why Obituary is better than all the others. So, and get a conversation going. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Keep an eye out for the next one. I've got some more of these big four genres lined up, so that's going to be fun. But until that happens, everybody, stay inside, stay safe, listen to Maiden. I've done too many Maiden videos. Listen to metal, death metal, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you later.